Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to moderate this amazing panel today. By quick intros, my name is Michelle Oh. I am the co-founder and GM of a startup called Roll.ai, and we do AI native video production using just phones. And so you can actually see our team here recording this panel, but we actually capture using just phones and edit videos entirely using AI. And we are the official video partner of Brand Innovators. So you'll see some fun social clips from our platform. So what I would love to do is actually just go straight down the panel, level set. I'm going to have everyone do really quick introductions of just, who you are and what company you work for and what you do.
Love it. Thanks for having us today. I'm Stephanie Rogers, Executive Vice President of Marketing for the San Francisco 49ers. My role is to grow the faithful, which is the name of our fan base, as broadly and as passionately as possible around the entire world, certainly here in the Bay Area, which is where we call home, very proudly, and oversee all things marketing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gail Horwood. I lead marketing in the U.S. for Novartis. We're a Swiss-based innovative medicines company with a 250-year history. And we bring medicines to market that improve and extend people's lives. Last year, we reached over 300 million patients with our medicines. And I'm part of the team that gets the word out about our medicines in the U.S.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. My name's Ryan Washatka. I'm the SVP of Sports and Entertainment Partnerships for Rakuten. So Rakuten is a global company with over 70 different companies. Here in the U.S., our consumer business that we focus on is a cashback business. So it's loyalty. We help people earn cashback rewards when you shop online or in store. And my team sits on the intersection of sports, commerce, and loyalty, and finding ways for partnerships to not only drive that brand awareness, but also be meaningful in acquisition and lifetime value of the consumers. So happy to be here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Liz Vanzura, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer and also on the Board of Directors for Solo Brands. I am responsible for the marketing of Solo Stove, which are the smokeless fire pits, in case not the cups, Solo. So part of my job is to be here to help spread the word about what we really do, which is we sell actually connecting around the fire. And so I hope to see a lot of you. We have a tailgate promotion, which we'll talk about later, and a lot of sports partnerships. But we're really here to show everybody that we're more than smokeless fire pits. We also have pizza ovens and griddles, and we have this Smash the Beef contest going on during this time. So we'll talk more about that.
Love it. Well, the theme of the panel today is amplifying the message beyond game day. And so, I really wanted to start off by digging into why sports partnerships matter. And so, Stephanie, I'd love to start off with you, you having a unique perspective being on the other side, but can you tell us a little bit about what's unique about sports partnerships?
Would love to. Yeah. So the San Francisco 49ers, we're very blessed in that we have one of the largest fan bases in the National Football League. And we also have one of the largest fan bases globally of any NFL team and American sports team. So just this year, we grew over 500,000 followers on our Arabic and Spanish language channels, which is amazing. And we had over 200% engagement increase on YouTube. So sports is getting bigger and bigger and more global, which is why I'm really excited to have every single person here this week celebrating Super Bowl 60 with us. And when you talk about partnerships beyond game day, I mean, for us, that's the bread and butter, right? We play 18 times a year, hopefully more if we're lucky and blessed, right? But at a minimum 18 times, that's not enough to fulfill the insatiable appetite of our fans all over the world. They want 365 days a year, 24/7. There is no amount of content that you can deliver to them that is too much. Of that increase, massive increase in not only our views, our engagement rate didn't slip. So while we're still producing more and more, the engagement rate is ticking up at the same exact pace, which I think just speaks volumes to, how intense and how amazing fandom really is. And I'm super excited to we have a couple of our incredible partners here with Gail, with Novartis, and Ryan with Rakuten. Liz, I'm a massive fan of Solo Stove. I sit around the fire all the time, so maybe we can work something out. But it really is all about community, right? And when you think about partnerships and Amplifying beyond game day, they allow you to have that 365-day conversation with your fans all over the globe. And having really strong, thoughtful partners allow you to have unique conversations, right? So obviously these two brands are incredibly different. They're both equally as powerful when we're talking to our fans and to our players, to our coaches, to our staff, et cetera. So for us, bringing on really thoughtful partners that are creative, that have really incredible, strong core values, allows us to keep that conversation going and building that faithful fan base to 35 million strong at this point and growing.
Wow, that's incredible, those numbers. And so, yeah, from the other side, would love to hear from, Gail, Ryan, Liz, from your perspective, what was it that really drew you to partnering, with sports, from all the other marketing channels that you have options from?
Yeah, it's interesting. We became, in the last year, at Novartis, the first pharmaceutical partner for the NFL, and we subsequently worked on some team deals, and we work with the 49ers, and we're excited to talk about that. But it really is about reaching people where they are and where they're spending their time. And we all of us in marketing know and we just experience it as people. It's really hard to reach people where they are going to pay attention and care. And doing that within a sports context is, trickier for some than others. So, it depends what type of message. And so we're very intentional about how we leverage the partnership we have with the NFL and with our teams in the Hall of Fame to really be respectful of people's enjoyment of the game and the sport and being true fans, but also being open to, and what we found is they're open to listening to and hearing and receiving messages about their health in those contexts. So as long as we're, respecting that, we've found it to be very productive, and we're less than a year into our partnership, but very excited about what we're seeing and the engagement we see and the receptivity for healthcare messaging within, whether it's a game or an activation outside of the game, with our players and with our teams.
I think for us, it's the one marketing channel where you can really dive into that emotional connection of a consumer, as well as performance-driven results. And so for us, we see the ability to kind of lean into the team's equity. If you do it right, you can create this synergy where the fan essentially leans into your product and understands and is educated for what you do, and also it becomes a raving fan and consumer of your product. And so we've done that in several ways where we lean into not only brand awareness, we're on the jersey patch for the Warriors, and have seen exponential value from that as we grow our brand in the U.S., but also as we think about what can Rakuten provide for those fans. We want to make sure that we're not just a logo slap in a stadium, but we are somebody who can resonate and provide value in that everyday fan life. And so the way we've done that is by taking a cashback, which is our main value proposition, to that fan, and offering cashback through the team store, through select concession stands, and really, meeting them at those moments of fandom and really leveraging that in our journey.
Ours is pretty simple. We have a backyard state of mind is kind of our target market with, watch parties and around the fire pit. And with our sports teams, we sponsor the Dallas Cowboys, the Mavericks, and the Rangers. And tailgate culture is perfect for us to showcase our product because people need to see it, feel it, and just relax and chill around it. And in a stressed out world, it seems to be getting more and more important to do that.
Awesome. And, I know that, we're talking about partnerships in the abstract. And so I think what I'd love to dive into is just some examples, in marketing you hear about activations, but what does that actually mean in the real world? Like, how does it actually show up in your everyday? And so I know maybe I'll start with you, Liz. I know that you have some fun examples of just showing how this shows up in real life.
Okay. So this is, we talked about our big core strategy is to own the backyard, basically, and go from a smokeless fire pit company to a premium outdoor lifestyle brand. So that's the center. And then in terms of activations, I mentioned the Cowboys and the Mavericks, but you can see it's way more than that. Like everybody on the panel mentioned, we have products that are tailgate products that are named after the big game. We have a chef testimonial, we call it, which is a chef that's going to prepare food on our griddle at the tailgate, and you'll see it at our tailgate event. We're doing a squash the beef program where there's not a whole lot of people that don't have beefs these days, and it's really therapeutic to squash it on the griddle. So if you have some beefs, which everybody does, you can come into our activation and squash the heck out of it. And then again, experiential, you can see fireside chats, just a natural for us. So this is how we've extended our backyards. I think I'm supposed to say it. Next slide, please. I don't have the clicker. So this is the squash the beef. The one that I want to mention is I'm a diehard Detroit Lions fan. Okay, so you really got to take it in the chops to be a Lions fan. Love Dan Campbell, but somehow we managed to not get in the playoffs. So that's how I'm going to squash like crazy on Sunday. But these are some of the beefs that some of our fans and our customers kind of sent in. Again, a fun way to engage with customers. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. And these are our backyard watch parties. Again, you can see it's kind of part of our culture. That's our fire pit, but there's not a whole lot that don't have these great watch parties and setups. So it's really a natural and what's on the TV sports. So it's another way for us to connect. Next slide, please.
All right. It's Sunday here at the Cowboy Stadium. We're so stoked having our backyard summit.
The new griddle, the new course, our new Summit 24. Come check it out. It's so much fun.
I just love the environment too. Everyone's so friendly. The designs are really cool, sleek and modern.
The thing that's really unique about the solo stove griddle is how evenly the heat is distributed.
Okay, the pizza just got out of the oven.
10.0. I would say the solo stove is one of a kind.
So you can see the chairs and the pit on top of the van. You can have a backyard summit anywhere in our big s'more down. So please come check it out. And then lastly, this is going to be a big inflatable. You're not going to be able to miss us outside. So it's just fun ways we activated.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I can go. So the one stat that really stood out to us when we kind of entered this area of sports partnerships was that less than 1% of a team's fan base, and I think this is true probably for 49ers, will actually have the opportunity to experience the team at their stadium or they're at their arena, right? So for us, as we look at it, it's important on how we show up, at Levi Stadium as an example, but it's even more so important on how we show up in that everyday fan's life from a digital perspective. And so when we think about sports partnerships and our activations, it's really more of a 365, and we don't think about seasons, we don't think about games, we think really about those moments. And like I mentioned, one of the things we dive into from our brand values and brand value proposition is cashback and helping that consumer in their everyday life and their purchases. And so we'll lean into moments like training camp or the draft, perhaps, a big matchup leading into the playoffs. How can we increase cashback? How can we align a gift with purchase as an example where fans can get exclusive merchandise that they can't buy in store by just making an everyday purchase at the team store through Rakuten, and finding those synergies where we can keep that message going regardless of the 8 or 9 game season and what's happening in stadium. And then what we do in stadium is really amplifying that overall strategy, which is showing up with brand ambassadors, helping to educate. Obviously with Rakuten, not only is it challenging for people to say the name, but it's also challenging for people to really understand what we do and how we can benefit them. So it's leaning not only into signage, the activities that we put on, but also teaching people how easy it is to use and how it's free and can truly benefit their lives on an everyday basis. So those are just some of the ways I think you really have to think about how you don't just show up when the lights are on, but really year round.
I think just building on what you all said, we really see this as an activation in an ecosystem. And the ecosystem is not just about us. It might be about patient advocacy groups. It might be about physicians or hospital systems. Healthcare is a team sport, but it's also highly personal. So you can't solve your health needs by yourself, right? You need other people. You might need a caregiver. You might need, obviously, a physician, medicines, et cetera. And it's really important for us to think about it as an ecosystem. And those activations are really conceived, and all the messages we create are conceived understanding all the players in the ecosystem and what their roles are in helping extend people's lives and taking proactive steps towards health. What we love about our partnership with the NFL is, and our teams, is that we're all aligned that people need to be proactive about health, and there are more opportunities to do that. You know, in the U.S., 1 in 2 women skip their annual mammogram. 2/3 of men don't get screened for PSA because they don't want to bring up the concept because of either fear or avoidance. And our creative this year for the Super Bowl addresses that. But part of it is just acknowledging that these are real barriers to better health, and then engaging the ecosystem. So everything we do, we need to think about how that comes to life, obviously at the big game, but well beyond that. And that's how we've conceived our programs.
And Stephanie, I know that this is, something you mentioned as well. So how do you think about that fan engagement, 365 days a year outside of those 18 games that you mentioned?
Yeah, for us on the marketing side, like, this is a dream come true, right? So when I first started, it was the logo slap, and I'm like begging people, like, please, this is making our, rates, our engagement rates tank. And now I feel like it's just a really cool world to be a part of, because everybody is now really trying and interested in seeing that genuine connectivity and how to make the most of every single person's, goals, with their brand and with the partnership. And I love the conversation around ecosystem, right? Because I think that's a part of it. We talk a lot about, just on the brand side, extend the touch point, something that I tell my team all the time. And that comes to life not only in how we're telling our own brand story, but that comes to life in how we're building out our partnerships. So while we say it in the marketing world a lot, we've also started working with our partnerships team to say, okay, what else can we do, right? So Rakuten jacket, for example, when we start seeing people at our fan engagement events that are in the Bay Area or beyond, out in different, and you see somebody that has one of the Rakuten jackets that they got at the team store exclusively, put the photo of that person on our carousel of fans having fun, right? You're finding ways to extend that touch point very genuinely and very naturally into the broader ecosystem. I love that reference. I think it's really smart. So yeah, that's how we try to think about it as well.
Awesome. And, knowing that this weekend is the biggest day of the year with the Super Bowl, we talk about, speaking of activations and engagement, obviously Super Bowl is one of the biggest days of the year. It's oftentimes a question with a lot of marketing teams of, do we or do we not sponsor a Super Bowl ad, knowing the expense, the competitiveness, all of those things. So can you all maybe a little peek behind the curtain in terms of what's the thinking that's typically happening within marketing teams on making that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, first and foremost, it's what's the right context. I mentioned that before, of where are we going to reach people, the most people who could benefit from knowing this message, and then how do we carry that through the ecosystem. So the Super Bowl does represent and present this unprecedented opportunity to reach most people, right? So many people tune in, and they're engaged, and it's a communal viewing activity. So it's not, you can start a conversation. So I think for that reason, last year was our first time as a company in the Super Bowl, and we brought a message about proactive screening for breast cancer. The campaign was called Your Attention Please. We still support it, and it was about paying attention to breasts when it matters most, when you should be taking screening or in health context. And what we saw is all year round that had an impact, and we see intent to screen, go to screenings, improve, et cetera. And so it gave us the data we needed to say this is a good place to have a serious health message, but if you do it in the right context, with humor, with a lighthearted approach, you're really going to start a conversation and have people take action. And we saw that last year, and we're hoping to do the same this year with proactive screening for prostate cancer.
So I'm going to pile on that a little bit. You know, one of the things that I think is so interesting too. So the Super Bowl, we've all seen the new numbers, right, in terms of how many people are watching with the new big data. I think they're targeting or they're anticipating over 130 million people are going to watch. It's the most globally viewed event in the world from a sports perspective, dozens and dozens of countries. And I think one of the things from preventative screening standpoint that's really interesting in utilizing not only the Hall of Fame relationship, because obviously that's what I would say probably a core demo, hopefully I'm not stepping out of the line there, but also partnering with George Kittle and Claire Kittle and having that conversation. There's so many young people, right, that are buying into these cultural moments. That is the Super Bowl, and that really are like latching on to the stickiness of those discussions. Whereas I think, you know, outside of maybe that younger audience, you're watching for entertainment. You're not necessarily watching for influence. To some extent. And so partnering with George and Claire and bringing that conversation to a much younger demographic of people that need to start making those decisions based on the numbers that we've seen, right? I think is really interesting. And then taking that to the global mechanism, you know, which is obviously the big game, and then out into the broad reaches of the ecosystem is really amazing.
Thanks for mentioning it. When you see the ad, you'll see George
Sorry.
make an appearance.
My bad. My bad. I skipped
It's coming.
Take the mic.
Well, speaking of, then I think that's a good opportunity. Do you guys want to see the Novartis spot? Yeah, let's roll it.
Have you ever in your life seen tight ends this relaxed?
I am so relaxed.
They're carefree, calm, serene. You know what these tight ends are so relaxed about? Prostate cancer screening. They've learned there's a simple finger-free blood test. Roughly 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I was one of them. I'm here today because I caught it early. Gronk, what'd I teach you?
Relax your tight end. Prostate cancer screening starts with a simple blood test.
Find out if a PSA blood test is right for you at Relax. It's a bloodtest.com. Let's do this.
There you have it.
That's awesome. Do you want to share a little bit about how that came together, Gail?
I mean, it's based on the insight that from fear or avoidance, men don't get screened. And so how do you tackle that? Literally, right front and center. And we wanted to do it with humor, but we didn't want to get that lost in the message. And we're working with the tight end community, and it's authentic storytelling. It really is. So Coach and Gronk have that, that authentic relationship. He was the coach that brought, they won a Super Bowl together. But and Coach does credit early screening in one of his physicals. I think when he was with the Steelers. But anyway, with saving his life. So it's an authentic story told by the people that lived it. And we want to extend that. And then you mentioned we're working with George Kittle and his wife, Claire. Health is a team sport. It involves the whole family. And sometimes you need people to nudge you to do the screenings you should be doing. We all experience that. And so we thought it was important to build a community of people who could speak on behalf of this and really take it into community. So we work with a number of different teams. We're also working with the Rams. And we are working with the Ravens, and we did some screenings there, and we brought the screenings just yesterday. Sorry, this morning. I've lost track of things. This morning to the training center, we did it with the 49ers, and we're really trying to make do that community-based activation. So
that's awesome. Congratulations. That's a super fun commercial. So yeah, I know, Ryan, Liz, that you also mentioned that your companies in the past as well have had Super Bowl spots. So can you give a little bit in terms of what was the thinking behind that? And also maybe just thinking, beyond just the actual like game day, how do you think about measurement? How do you think about outcomes and really the thinking behind it?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and it's tough to follow that amazing spot. But this year, we're not in the Super Bowl. We're focusing a little bit more on B2B to C with our partnership growth through acquisition. But the previous years, we did a pretty amazing spot that circled or centered around the movie Clueless. We brought in Alicia Silverstone and recreated a famous scene from the movie. And it was pretty iconic and a lot of fun to film. But I think, as you take a step back from that, you have to look at it as a strategy. It literally cannot be, if you're looking at it only as a 30-second moment in time to drive impressions, you're leaving a lot of value on the table. And so, for us, we looked at it as, what are we going to do in the 6 weeks prior to the Super Bowl? And then how does this extend for the 3 months after? And what are those connections we can do? And what are those moments that we can not only educate people about Rakuten leading into it, and some of those surprise and delight moments of potentially cashback sales or working with different retailers on the platform to kind of tease out different moments of what's to come. And then you have your big moment during the Super Bowl, but then it's really getting into those important 3 months after, which is where you start to look at the acquisition and the retention and the loyalty. And really, that's where the brand value comes in. And we did that not only through making sure that we had measured campaigns ready to roll out that tied to the actual ad, but we extended that into other partnerships. So we had what Alicia was wearing in the Clueless spot was designed by Christian Soriano, who is a famous designer on the New York Fashion Week. So we went further in doing a partnership with the New York Fashion Week and played into that and really showcased how Rakuten is not only a brand that you can use on your everyday household purchases, but we also are in the luxury space and making sure that we use that moment to not, to expand past just what people may think about us.
I just wanted to say congratulations, Gail. I thought your spot was amazing, and it's a lot of pressure to, good on you, and it was such a purpose. So Solo would love to be in the Super Bowl. We're not in the Super Bowl this year. We're around the Super Bowl, but similarly, we'll be before the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, and after the Super Bowl. So we'll be doing recipes and tailgate recipes, getting ready for next season, and partnering all over we can, and other sports like March Madness. So I do think it's an ecosystem and a strategy, and all of us in marketing have been, doing that all along. In fact, in my past, I have been in the Super Bowl. It's so stressful. So it's good when you finally get here, right? Because you finally made it. But it has become one of the live audience, the media properties where you really do get the eyeballs, and in a world where it's so fragmented, so I think you might see Solo next year.
Great. And just switching gears a little bit. So, we talked about community and the ecosystem. And I know one of the things that you're really passionate about, Stephanie, is really thinking about how can these partnerships drive good and impact in the world, especially from a community perspective. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I always, like to think about the fact that while we are a sports property, we are also one of the most, and I don't say we in terms of San Francisco 49ers, I mean, we as the world of sports, teams, leagues, brands, one of the most connecting, entities out there in the entire world, excuse me. So we also have a responsibility, right, to serve the community and to do good in the community, to give back, to create legacy, to create opportunity, to remove barriers, all the things. And so for us, it's a conversation that we have all the time. This year alone, we're going to create over $1 billion of economic impact here in the Bay Area. Like, that's an astounding number, right? We're so proud of that. That's because we do have the big game, the Super Bowl, and also the World Cup, which is right around the corner. But we don't do that on our own, right? We do that with our partners. We do that with people who believe in extending that touch point from not only the assets that are in the stadium, which are remarkable, right? They're very high value because they're very impactful, but they extend, that relationship out into the communities because they believe in that responsibility to serve the community as well. We're also super proud that, we are part of the NFL's Global Markets program. So we are in the UK, Mexico, and the UAE, just entered the UAE, first NFL team to do so. We did that mid last year. And we are now, thanks to one of our partners, going to be teaching over 150,000 kids how to play flag football as part of their school curriculum. And that's just another opportunity for these kids to learn how to play a sport that's going to be in the Olympics in 2 years. It gives them another pathway to continue to grow and chase their dreams on an athletic standpoint. But we also know, how important athletics is to youth, right? And there's endless statistics out there. There's a number of good examples that we can provide that showcase the benefit, the power of sport at a young age, not only in terms of fandom, of course. I think you're like 40% more likely to be a fan if you play the sport when you're younger, but in terms of how you manage stress when you're an adult, how you manage working with a team, how you manage strategic thinking and problem solving. So for us, it's really around taking some of these really fun, cool moments that are around game days, that are around our incredible athletes and personalities, and extending that touch point into the like I like to say, the responsibility of serving our communities, not only here in the Bay Area, but beyond in those countries as well, and hopefully a few more to come.
I think for us, a lot of what, when you're a brand and you look at doing a partnership with a team, you're obviously doing that to leverage some of that brand equity and some of the equity that the team has created. But I think for us, it's also important to help build that equity and to help create that legacy that lasts long after the contract terms are over and well into the future. And so as we think about it, Rakuten in Japanese means optimism. And so we take a look at our core values and see how those measure up against the team's core values and what we stand for together. And where we've netted out is really around uplifting the underrepresented, or the underrated, as we like to call them, and finding ways that we can associate with those communities to help build those communities up. So we focus here in the Bay on the Oakland community, in large part with partnership with Stephen Curry's Eat, Learn, Play Foundation, and really making sure that we leave that community better than we found it. And also with Girls Inc. of Alameda, and really making sure that we're mentoring that next generation and making sure that they have that platform and those opportunities that many kids today don't have. So I think it's finding those connections and helping to work with the team to build those synergies and make your legacy together.
So for every beef we squash, we'll be donating to food banks in both Seattle and in Boston. So that's one of many we're doing.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Well, I love that, especially, ending on that. What's the saying? With great power comes great responsibility. So I love that, Stephanie, just thinking about the responsibility to the community and really that ownership. Well, thank you all so much. This has been such an insightful panel in terms of how these amazing partnerships and this amazing, influence just really impacts, our overall experiences as fans. And so thank you all so much for taking the time. Really appreciated it.
Thank you
for having us.